Yahate Abene. It is my honor to welcome today the Navajo Nation President, Dr. Buu Nygren. We would also like to introduce this morning those with us from the Office of the President and Vice President of the Navajo Nation, the Navajo Nation Chief of Staff, Patrick Sandoval, the Navajo Nation Communications Director, Holly James, the Navajo Nation Director of Media, George Hardin, the Navajo Nation Executive Director of Economic Development, and the man responsible for a lot of what we're doing here today, Mr. Tony Scalandis. Sorry, Tony. The Navajo Nation Executive Director of Public Safety, Michael Anderson. The Navajo Nation Division Directors, Steve Etsiti, Lisa Jim, Mike Alone, and Arvin Mitchell. The Navajo Nation Executive Staff Assistants, Vicki Shirley, Olin Ki-Omi, and Gary Lewis. Also welcoming today from the town of Page, Mayor Bill Diak, sorry. And our esteemed guest at the dais today, our founder and Chief Executive Officer of ZenniHomes, Bob Worsley, and founder, owner, executive, Principal of Indigenous Design Studio plus Architecture, Tamarah Begay. Also with us, Effie Atiti, thank you, Navajo Nation Tax, and Lisa Jim, FRF. Now, if I could ask everyone to take a seat for a moment, we have a short video. Next up, a word from our Chief Executive Officer and founder of ZenniHomes, Bob Worsley.
Thank you, Trevor. This is a great honor to be standing here on the Navajo Nation and to start to see the resurrection of this 1,000 acres to become one of a great economic center for the Southwest, right here on the Navajo Nation. We used to have the largest coal plant west of the Mississippi here, and there were people that felt like that was not a good use of this beautiful place to have some pollution and other things happening here. And we had 4 or 5 million people a year coming through to see the Grand Canyon, Zions, and other beautiful things here, coming through Page to see the Horseshoe Bend, Antelope Canyon, the Slot Canyon, and many other things. And so we're happy to see this 1,000 acres become a very clean, environmentally friendly, consistent with Mother Earth, that this would be a place where we would build homes, because Mother Earth is our home, right? In the Navajo tradition, she's our home. And we're gonna build homes by Navajo, on Navajo, for Navajo, from this location that used to be a coal plant. We're very excited about that. You realize about 6,500 of these homes can be built with the steel that was removed from the coal plant. And it was taken up to Plymouth, Utah to be recycled back into steel to be used in our economy. So we theoretically see 6,500 homes coming from the literal steel structure of the coal plant that used to be here. We're thrilled about that. President Nygren came and visited us a year ago in March, and he walked through the facility, spent a little extra time with us, and he said, I don't want to sign your lease. I want to be your partner. I want to do this with you, and I want these homes for my people. And he had been making a promise, and when he ran for office, and every day since he's been in office, that he wants to see 1,000 homes out on the nation. And we want it to come from this facility as much as possible. So today we're very excited to talk about building homes here, and also we're gonna need to expand this facility. This is only 40,000 square feet. Even in the best of cases, in 40,000 square feet, we could only build 3 homes a day. We want to build 25, 30 homes a day in this facility, in this site of the Navajo Generating Station. So we're here to say we're all about expanding to another 300,000 square foot facility just adjacent to us here on our lease. And we also want to start immediately building homes for the Navajo. And they're built by Navajo, on Navajo, for Navajo. So we think this will be the first time the Navajo Nation has had a significant export business, which makes a sovereign nation even more a sovereign nation when you have gross GDP that is growing because you're exporting to the world. How do you think China became as big and powerful as they were? Exporting and being a manufacturer to the world. And we think that's what this can be the beginning of here on Navajo Nation. I want to pay particular honor and attention to the Navajo workers that we have working for us. They have grown and learned how to do this. They came originally highly skilled code welders, code electricians, code plumbers, and let's just take a moment and give the workers a hand for what they're doing here. You know, people knew, I have a power plant down in Snowflake. We have a 1-month outage coming up in November. And guess who works around the clock in every coal plant and every power plant in the Southwest? When you need someone to come and work 24/7 and do fast, beautiful, code perfect welds in your outage, guess who we asked to come and do it? The Navajo. Always has been the Navajo. But now the 9 gigawatts of coal plants have sometimes emptied our N aquifer. They've left some pollution, and they're being shut down as we find new ways to make clean power, solar, wind, etc. So what happens to those incredible workers from this nation that have become, over the last 40 years, 2 generations of guys that go on the road and they do outages when there's a need for a power plant to be rebuilt? It's always the Navajo. We have to retool these fantastic workers into another trade. And we think building very strong steel structures that will last 2 and 3 times longer than a conventional HUD home that has been all that we've given to you for housing. It's time to go to an upper quality, international building code quality home that's built out of steel that will last 2 and 3 times longer than the housing that has been provided previously. So we'd really like to see that happen. So today I think we're here to talk about expanding this facility, and we're here to also talk about getting contracts to start building these homes for the Navajo Nation. So with that, I'll let Tamarah take the time and talk about what she's planning to do with us, and then President Nygren.
Thanks, Bob. Good morning, Yate. I'll introduce myself. Yate, Tamarah Begay, and She, Naikadna and She, Kiani Bashichin, Ashi Dashanali, Tohoglini Dashache. Thank you for giving me this opportunity to speak at this fabulous facility. I grew up on the Navajo Reservation. I grew up in a community called Ayambato, about 15 miles east of Yala, Mexico. As a little girl, I dreamed and designed homes for myself and planned. I became interested in architecture at a really young age. And I grew into that in elementary school, where I went into a school where there was a gentleman, had a roll of drawings and a model, presented it to the students and said, I'm an architect. So went home and I told my father that I wanted to be an architect, because he told me I could not be a football player. So I was scratching my head, why could not I be a football player? So I said, I want to be an architect. And he says, no, I don't want you to be an architect. I didn't understand, and I'm like, why couldn't I be a football player or an architect? So I went off to school. He says, you need to go and get your education in sociology and come back and help your people. He says, your mother's sisters are doing really well in sociology, so that's what I want you to do. So I went to University of New Mexico, and I always caught myself walking over to the School of Architecture, looking at these beautiful designs in architecture. So when I graduated with my master's degree in architecture, my father didn't know I graduated with an architecture degree. He was quite surprised. So working in Albuquerque, I worked for several firms, and about 12 years ago, I decided that I wanted to go off for my own and start my own architectural company. An architectural company that really is going to resemble not just my people, but the indigenous people across the world, that really connects our indigenous language, culture, and traditions through design. And going back to really the traditional way that we design, and that's to listen to our people, have a more collaborative process. We don't do that now. We see a lot of architects coming in, giving us designs, the way that we should live, the way that we should live with our HUD homes, the way that we should live, in our buildings and our hospitals. But IDS+A, we're about really connecting that culture and language and tradition through design. So IDS+A, we are a one-of-a-kind architectural firm, not just in the Southwest, but in the country. We have 100% an Indigenous staff. We have 3 Indigenous architects, myself, Theodore Edekai, he is from Isleta, and Jan Tafria, which she is from Potawatomi. You don't see this, and everybody committed at IDS+A is committed to working with our indigenous people and listening to their stories. So IDS+A is going to have an opportunity to work with Zenni and the nation to build homes that are durable, affordable, sustainable, and that represent our culture and our identity. I want our Navajo people to come to IDS+A, and if they don't know how to get a home, we can be here to help you. We want to be able to lay out your home, talk about your wants, talk about your creations, talk about our family unit. This is important, again, about connecting our culture, language, and traditions. Being in business for 12 years and working on Navajo, it mind-boggles me about how much construction cost is here. It's between 30 to 40% higher than urban cities. We're still trying to figure that out, right? Is it price gouging? Professional price gouging? We need to build homes that are affordable for our people, sustainable and durable, that they're not falling apart. So that is IDS+A's commitment with working with Zenni and the Navajo Nation, working together to provide these homes for our Navajo people and our indigenous peoples across the nation. Thank you. Yeah.
We'd like to have Arben come up and talk about building homes for the nation.
Thank you, Bob. President, that's a Tamarah. Do kala hagi khano yagi. Do te hon sin to li shiti college in insla. Do she basis she ki ani da she. Naga ne da sunale. Originally from White Room, Slagito, Arizona. Currently, I'm the Division Director for Community Development. Let me talk a little bit about community development. The ARPA monies that we got under this division. There's numerous sections within the ARPA. Under Section 3, we got $211 million for chapters and regional projects. So these legislation, the $211 million was divided into 24 regions. We have 24 council delegate regions. So each delegate regions receive 8.8 for their projects. There's numerous projects within this Section 3. There's some new houses, renovation, bathroom addition, all sorts of projects that the chapters want. So basically, chapter then there's another section, Section 11, which is the bathroom addition, in the amount of $150 million. Anytime that you're going to request money from HUD or any federal agency, if you want a house, the first requirement is that do you have a water, running water, electric. And then the next requirement is, do you have a bathroom? So if you have no bathroom facilities, pretty much you won't receive that grant. So based on that, we got $150 million for bathroom addition. So that $150 million is under contract. Within the last month or so, 2 months, we managed to probably build 100 bathroom addition. So those are what was given to us. Now, let me cover the other section, Section 10, which is housing. 50 million for housing. So back in November, we did an RFQ, request for qualification, and 14 firms submitted their proposals. So back in January, we started reviewing those proposals. So out of those 14, 8 firms went to the next round, which we interviewed the 8 firms last week. And within a couple of weeks or so, we're gonna select ZenniHome, IDS+A, to do modular homes. In Navajo, at the Najia, Yahawanda, Hagan Halon, you know, a lot of times, families that don't have homes, you know, there's always some hurdles that they have to hurdle. But if they have a home, they know where to go back, even though they go off the reservation to find work. So, so this is a step forward for the Navajo Nation. Building homes here where NGS used to be. You know, when NGS closed, you know, there went hundreds of jobs. You know, how do I feed my family? That's probably what came to their mind. So this is another great venture that Navajo will be moving forward with housing. Like what Bob said, Navajo home, Navajo built. So with that, thank you very much.
Thank you, Arben. We're very happy about that $50 million and look forward to start getting these homes out there across the nation, the Navajo Nation. And with that, we'll turn the time over to President Nygren.
Kidini ano tende si yego shekillo hono bashkhozo are shekillo تبغان هاتن بنا شلاتو وشول كذا كذا ودو طبعا سيس كيس عارف شو غلط تندا بغان دان شو دو جغال خاله ده هات دو هوان ده جون گوشان ده تو جن زهره شو غلط هوان جنون ده هسنل تبت زیلگی تن زیلگی ناس تن جنو بعد از نون تاز ندگو هین زون پانسیس کیس عارف شو جون شو جوكوا بالخز أنجي النيدي يا هتاسي دولة ويت إيه هوانا سي بعد الزلنة دو تنزل دون جغنو تازيا دو آتن يلاقي إيه لا سوبانسيس كيسارة شيء تقول دو إدوبا يا أتكده آيتا بتاعينيش خايشة بدنا آيتا بتاعينيش هجت إيدلش خشبنا هجت إيرو آيتا هيوت ندن لنجي خد آيتا تيسنيش إبرنا هذا شكل الغلط بانسيس كيس نزت تينوبا خد تينوبا شلات تنهور تيسنيش خوان آيتا تيس خارشي خوان ياتي له خوز تورداتse يو توج بالخاوت زوج له شيبي توج جا راتن جنو كين أتاز نيجي يتيسنيش تو يبانسيس كيس دوئے آخوات نبی کئی بکاو هوان دوت ازگی پیسو دو خباده آتنده خواه دائنیش آسا ناخی آیتا دائنیشو ایبینی نامانسیس کسلی حجشیگا حاس زندگی باخی هنسن جو آپ به پیسو دا آپ به خواه نانش خییخ خود دوئے خانشی آره پیسو شچه خود آسان دا quite a dish, Nistodin neither. Oh, there she Shana ain't need to lift there's need. Oh, the host to the house, so the she are one, but the gun of a base of the Haloniki, a she Shana ain't need to lift. Oh, what end where Kaya shot that on? When you know the Nesha days need to days need. Ebrina, Bahida cut. Ah, she Bahuin, Tido, Yego, Head of the deep news. Heshe Hodoni, up at the base of the never cable car, than this radio was. So the Nayon done check, base of bunch. Haishe been never the Nesha days needs to list, and Zendolist. Tanhodat, Edolist, Ebonina. The netted on Sidak, Kesigi, but Jade the Hodonigi, Yada, Legi, the Nebuchadnezzar dish was done Zinigi, Ela, everything that dish, that dish, everything I hold in Hania. I don't need it as a chair, Johana. Stand at Zahla Nache, Denos Nisho, Ade, the net and no Senigi, Aroquia Bandas, Nishigi, Adinda. The never came of a car, she's a person, get your hodod, Nihodot, ni. Ela. Started in that kid in Ezet, Noba, the ne, how one banda hidio, Doe ha, she had one to bada, Jobada, dear, see ye, done Zilon da hidio, Danil, done skill, ah, seen the hastin, though she had one harder than Nita. Eh, what any get the ne, how one danes in, and they who one banda hidio, a shade on my son, those chiniers that no say to ye that need to live. Beso ye, but the hoye, beso, but the hoye, honey. Oh, bonny, how one day Jesus need to live. How one done silly, how one yada, eggy, eighty dollars, the snow ye, everything here, she che. A hot energy, Nahanda dog, Nishanenigi, need a nenegi, hood, and get the net and Handa dog, Nishanenigi, Asian hot ona, Kidinezetin, how one Juno, but doesn't know the never care of a car and then die dog next. Aya be a hand, Gedini, the Laro, and I saw Tanigi, not Ani, Dano, Senegi, here, Tashin's Rada, I should not say. Dina, she is Doho one, Shikay of a car and dish after the needle. Judeans Rago, Stlatinache, Sebedinache, how one hot osa all bigatole. Joita, Juno Yeda destra, Arahoje, camera needy, Hona Ranigi, Nes Doti oit and ne, Besiada, did oit and never care of a car, and nehidole, how one did on does little danegi, Arawa Peshmans and Hodotha Naranigi, not Ani, Lenigi, Lina Nes, so yat Arahoje, needy about Mr. Mayor, Bill Dyack, Yat in Dini the Leto, Yah, Jonat Ani, Dano, Senegich, the Chief Chapter President, Joanne, Yat Yadat Wado, Secretary, Charlotte Hunt, Yah, so I had a hidden Kaya in the Natchet, Nikishi, Le Koyat, Nachohol, Yadashibata, and Catchin, Kidene, Halada Doni. Hagola da do, Kashida no, see, Arokat Bansana, Kesek and Nezetin of 13, the Nenada dishnish. Arotisa, one, but not that, Ashla Nezetin, do Asa the meal Yazadze, Hone not the Nena de Nishabin, bananas, Edelations of Ansiskis, Esto, he had to let Ekapetati Bedeni, Nish, an idiot at the Radit, I do not so Honjo, a skin data should not need a Gabinina, Bedeni, Nish to the Adi Nan Sogo, Hojisa Nanat on Bigatole, Ani Hadzi, Natino Ashla, Hodoha one Hatahin Teho, Asa Ginger, Anehidole, you did net days, Nish Dobin, Hoshanas, Nishiki, a large Enal Taiki days, Ingi. So in our time, what the never care about cab, which is nothing daily. Hatashe, hot on, Juno, Hodesta. Everything that all day hard, she, how one Belagada, that any in the how one day, in our time, it's all and the heat, laughter. A nehi, Anakin peso, a king, Besha cheat at the dog, the Anakin a cart or what, and cast chin of a cart was at Nenegi, Joe Hoto in our time, Nasnish. Ebe, a hair, Gedini, the Hodoshia, Chiso, on a hundred of the gun, catching Kichia dish. Eyat etole, aro nishlige tachi ninshe, aro nats oze bashishin do todichi nidashe do nats oze dashanale, aro basi nash enige former state representative, kade First Lady Jasmine Blackwater Nygren, hashishninle, do shihi yashin do no ta tachi nida bachero batani, edabanalaro beninache, nkachin na kihono, eyeje na kinet ese, ebinach ahwiche bansis keste, hashe to ekeda hat idole. Na tin nache, this tin nache, stand nezet tin nache. Hashet oi yat ehod hit neke da hat inig ahwitje banside kesigi ehod edele. So again, today is a day about really working with people that have a heart and commitment to work on Navajo. And in Navajo, I express some of your attributes, Mr. Bob. I want to say thank you. Even though you've been set up here for over a year, employing over 100 of our Navajo people, you haven't gotten one single contract with the Navajo Nation. And that's what I call heart and dedication to serve our people. And you mean it. And I just want to say I appreciate that for employing over 135 of our Navajo people. And on top of that, you have our business here. You've revamped up what NGS used to do, and I look forward to the expansions that are going to happen next door so that we can meet that demand of 25 homes a day, over 7,000 homes a year, and be the most productive, efficient, modular facility in North America. And I think that's something that we can all stand behind. And it's going to be on Navajo. It's going to be good to see. One of the things I was thinking about when I was growing up, they'd always say, nothing against, I like my Fords. Right now I like a Ford, I like a Chevy. But growing up, they'd always say, you know what? Don't get an American made because it's going to break down, it drinks too much gas, and you're going to be fixing it for a long time. Get a Toyota or a Honda, you'll be okay. I remember hearing that all the time. Then with technologies and computers and seeing those things. And then now, making my way this way, I was thinking about, you know what people are going to be saying now? Buy a Navajo-made home, made on Navajo, because it's going to be the most efficient home that you can build. It's not going to take a lot of energy. It's going to last forever, and it's going to be affordable. Imagine being the mecca of the most affordable, high-quality homes produced in America, and it's going to be happening here on the Navajo Nation in Lechi, Arizona. That's what I'm looking forward to doing. And as president of the Navajo Nation, of course, I got to get behind that because our people need homes. Not only are we going to be supplying homes through Mr. Bob and Tamarah and IDS+A, they're going to supply homes for probably throughout the whole Southwest and North America. But the number one mission for me is I want to get on board on when it comes to high quality, affordability, and quantity, because there's a 50,000 shortage of homes here on the Navajo Nation. There's no time to think about, I want a 900 square foot home, you know, $900 a square foot home. $1 million for a home is no joke, because that's what some people say. You have an NHA house, $1 million home? They laugh about it because it does cost almost $1 million. To me, that's ridiculous. Who can afford $1 million home on Navajo with the unemployment rates, with the wages that we have on Navajo? And so when we have people that are innovative and want to bring the cost down and bring building homes like this to our people in our community, we got to get behind that. And so I'm very happy that Mr. Arba Mitchell announced that within the coming weeks, there'll be a contract before me for $50 million to produce 200 homes all across Navajo that are going to look like this, that are going to stand still for a long time. As I was coming out here with the police officer that was driving me today, I told him, I told him this question. Do you know why I'm excited to go out to Lechi today? I said, look out into the horizon. You see that shed? There's a home. And I see somebody's living in the shed. There's no insulation. The roof probably leaks. It probably takes a lot of wood to keep that little shed heated because it's not properly built. But just imagine one of these homes, how much firewood it's going to take to keep it heated and cooled. It's not going to take very much. And that's what our people deserve on a day-to-day basis, because it's already hard to pay our utility bills. It's hard to get a pile of wood to be loaded to your house. but now they'll live in a home that's going to take very little energy to keep it going. And that's what we deserve. So again, I just want to say thank you so much to ZenniHomes. I look forward to the 200 homes, and I also look forward to working out the details for the expansion and moving forward, because I would love to see 1,000 homes being produced out of this facility like nothing on a year-to-year basis. So with that being said, I want to say thank you so much, and thank you to everyone involved here, and thank you to the workers, because made on Navajo, made by Navajo, it's going to mean something very soon, because that's what we can all be proud of. Because people all across the Navajo, they're going to say, they're going to read something on these houses, and that's going to say, made on Navajo. They're going to be so proud of it, because they're going to say these are built like tanks, and they're going to last forever because Navajo people made it. And that's what they're going to be saying all across America. So again, thank you so much, and thank you for allowing me to be here today.
Thank you, President Nygren. We'll now open it up for some questions. First from the press. Seeing none at the moment. Do we have anybody from the press who has a question? Right here. The question is, the homes that are going to be built for the reservation, are we going to hire our own architects? Let me introduce you to our architect, and I'm sure she'll be able to answer that question.
Can you repeat that question again?
Are the homes going to be designed by our own architects?
Yes, so a lot of these homes right now that are being built, we are at the final stages, like 99%, we are Navajoizing the units. So the Navajoizing, you see in this background, we do have a color palette. So a lot of those colors are going to resemble a lot of our, like all of our environment that we have in Navajo, the colors, the schemes. So that will be the Navajoized unit.
Another question? Yes, ma'am. The question is, the money that we're talking about today, is that money to purchase the homes or money invested in ZenniHomes? Arvin.
The question in the idea, the 50 million that I was talking about, the 50 million, those will be divided into 24 regions, so a little over 2 million for each delegate regions. So also in this process, what we did a year ago is that each chapter submitted 10 names into the DCD portal. So for Chi'i, other surrounding chapters here, they inputted 10 names into the portal. So those 10 names, we did an assessment. And we completed the assessment, meaning that, okay, these 10 names, these are the folks. And one of the main requirements is home site lease. You gotta have a home site lease. Because in order to get power, water, you gotta have a home site lease. And then there's other requirements like other factors, not requirement, but other factors after that, like water, utilities, how far off the road do you live. So those 10 names, what's going to happen is that once we're moving forward, RDC also has to approve an eligibility criteria, almost the same as our assessment. So those names that was into the portal, the delegate, the chapters will do the selection, however way they want to do the selection. Some chapters, they have a housing committee. So those selected names, depending on how much money was dedicated to that chapter. And then also looking at the prices. Do we need a 1 bedroom, 2 bedrooms, 3 bedrooms? So a family of 5 probably will have a 2 or 3 bedroom. So I don't, we'll do the request and it'll be built here. It'll be built here. Excuse me. I don't like to say the Bagay. Okay.
Should I introduce Mike Cloney?
Yeah.
If I can't, I'll introduce Mike Cloney. Oh, President Nygren.
No, one of the things I think the question asked there is, what's the benefit of selling homes outside of Navajo? The biggest benefit is obviously Miss Tax Lady here. I think one of the things that I'm excited about is that Bob started this facility with no guarantees that they're going to build any homes on Navajo. They said there's a great workforce, a Navajo workforce that's in the background, and there's great facility. So he had a dream of, let's just go build. They started a business, use his own money, employ Navajo people, and selling homes. And this, as you mentioned earlier, what's the benefit of that? The benefit is our people are working, and then on top of that, in the future, when we work things out, we're going to start collecting taxes. It's just kind of like if you buy something in Page or Flagstaff, all those taxes that we pay, we rarely get even it back. But if we're selling it from here on Navajo and we're shipping it out and exporting, if we can make that as at a major scale, that's going to benefit the Navajo Nation as a whole. And so that's what's exciting about it. The other thing, what's exciting about it too, is he's perfected the workforce, and then now with the first batch of the 50 million that's going to be going into after a year and a half, this will be the first time, and the cost is going to be very reasonable, because right now on the reservation, to build like a 1,200 square foot home, it's costing like $500,000. Who can afford $500,000? I can't afford $500,000. So his goal is 1,200 square feet. Let's keep it under $200 a square foot, which is going to be way less than half the cost. So to me, it's like it's going to benefit our community, benefit our people, because it's actually, who's late for class?
Break is over.
Break's over. So that's what I get excited about, is we're bringing the scalability down so that people can afford it. And the other thing I've encouraged because what we're talking about, the 50 million, right? That's free homes to people that are in dire need. When I tell my administration, the people that work for me, if we're given a free home, make it as standardized as possible, but make sure the quality is high, because you're getting a free home. But then there's working people. There's people that are nurses, that are teachers, that are educators, that don't qualify for a free home. So how do we make that accessible for them? And one of the things I've asked Mr. Bob is make sure you work with some lenders and figure out how can they get a loan, because what I've been told is these homes, you can actually get them financed. Most homes on Navajo, if you go, it's hard to get a loan to be built on trust land, because they know if you fall behind, we can't take it back. But homes like this, you can finance it so working people can actually afford it. And that's what excites me about this facility, is that the more and more we continue to expand and invest in this facility, thousands of more Navajo people can afford a home like this. Because again, I know Arbin, nothing against Arbin or the free homes that we give out, because those are people that are probably disabled, they can't work, they've got 10 people living in their homes and they're having a hard time, and they're living out in the streets, or they're living in a shack. So these are the people that are getting those free homes. But outside of that, my biggest question is that how can we make it more accessible so that our people can buy a home? Because instead of buying a mobile home, which is probably going to cost the same amount, let's get a home that's going to be more permanent. Because all of us know, I grew up in a mobile home, and I know that after a few years, it doesn't look the same. And then after a decade or two, you see some of them, they start steering just because they're not built like this. The structure is not built like that. So that's where I'm excited to see our own Navajo people, when they buy a home like this. and it's going to be very affordable. So again, I think that's a great question that you asked, because nobody's doing it, and that's what's exciting about this is we're trying to bring the cost down and keep the quality high. And again, it only happens when we've got the workforce, we've got the expertise, and you've got everybody coming to the table. And again, that's I guess that in a roundabout way, that's what I think about in terms of what are some of the benefits of selling outside and to the inside. So, and then Mike Alona, I know you're a hot topic here. Home site leases. So one of the challenges, right? In order for a home to be built, you need water and electricity and a home site. And Mike's going to talk about some of the things that he's worked on over the past year in terms of making the home site lease process more feasible.
Shana, the President, everyone here, staff, good morning. Mike Alona, this is Janelle Toha Chen Auto nationally, but in slow she was a chain for nationality on the chain without national. A quadrit Washington cut Ajishna nationality. I'm the executive director for the Division of Natural Resources. And when I came on board, President Nygren asked, how can we make some changes for the people to be able to establish homes faster and quicker? What are some of the things we can do? And with his initiative, he said, let's make some things happen. And so we went to work with our legislators and said, these are some amendments that need to be made. And so one of the biggest, fastest ways now, and to look at is, as President Nygren mentioned, is home replacement. If there are people living out there and have a home, and it's ready to be replaced, because all we're doing is putting Band-Aids all over it. It needs to be replaced. And so all homes that are existing right now on Navajo Nation, there's only a real quick 5-step process. Number one, they fill out the home site lease application. They take the consent form to the grazing official. Within a half a mile, is there any permittees there that are opposing? I mean, there probably shouldn't be, because the consent aspects. That was a consent. And so all they had to do, the grazing officer just has to sign the form, and that's it. Then we're done. The second part is we talk about the environmental reviews, archaeological and the biological. If the residence been existing, what we have is a programmatic agreement with the Fish and Wildlife Department, Historic Preservation, where it will be CADEX. That means they do a letter and say that this is all places already disturbed. If there's any findings, to notify the department. That's in place. So there's no cost for that. And then the next is the legal survey. Where are you putting your home at? Where is it at? Well, thanks to Google Earth, it's also been updated. At first, it was only homes that existed up to 2016, only because that's the only homes we could see from Google Earth. Within the last month, it's updated to 2023. We can actually see the residents, and you can point it out and say, that's where we live. And all you do then from there is you take GPS points, Latin long, township range section, print it out, you're done. You combine those, and then land department manager approves your lease. That's how fast that is working now. Okay, that's what we're doing. And then we're going to work with the chapters on the other areas where you have raw ground, because it's probably in their land use plan already. Especially if it's within 1/8 of a mile of existing infrastructure, roads, water, sewer, utilities, whatever. Same thing, we could do a programmatic agreement to get those done, to make things faster and quicker, to speed them up. So that is what President Nygren looked at, the whole vision. everything from the home site up all the way now to the homes, all of that. It's a whole process that has all been now laid out, and all we need to do now is go put the homes out there so people can start developing their roots in those homes. Of course, yeah, don't they?
Question from those visiting online?
Yeah, we've got a few questions from the press online. I think a couple of these will go to Bob. Talk about the jobs that are currently created and the jobs that will be created by the next facility, both direct and indirect.
The question is the jobs that are currently created and the jobs that will be created with the new facility. Bob?
Thank you. We have 135 today here. I think when the NGS closed between the mine and this facility, it was over 1,000 jobs that were lost. And so we've got 135 of those back. When we go to a second shift, this will be a double here. And then when we get the site expanded, we'll be well over 500 people back to work here, almost replacing the jobs that were here in the factory, here in the NGS facility. And then there's 10 indirect jobs created for every one of those. So that's 5,000 jobs that will be created by this economic engine right here that we're replacing from the NGS closure.
And then the next question is about production. So people that don't know anything about our plant, when does home production start, or has it started already?
Thank you. What you see here is last year we built about 20 units here, and we tore them apart, put them back together, got the state to approve the plans. It's what we call prototyping. You guys have all heard about the Cybertruck facility. Michael, if you could stand up for a second. This gentleman launched the Cybertruck in Austin, Texas for Tesla, and he's now our Chief Operating Officer. He was hired and he started this week because he's going to help us get this into fast production. Out of prototyping into fast production. This little facility, I call it little, it looks big, but it's very small for these big units. This facility will never be able to produce probably more than 3 homes a day. That's why we need 300,000 square feet next door that will be able to make 25 to 30 homes a day. And so that's why Michael Schmidt, Dr. Michael Schmidt, he's got a PhD in physics. He said they built 150 Cybertrucks by hand. And at that point, they crashed them and drove them, and then they went into production. That's what we're doing now. This is going into production this year in 2024, and the new facility will be started hopefully by 2020. We'll be building homes in 2026 in that facility and building, as President Nygren said, 30 homes a day, which no one in the world is doing in a house factory. By the way, 30 homes a day compared to a car that Dr. Michael Schmidt, they can build a Model Y in Shanghai every 30 seconds. Imagine if we can build a home every 30 minutes, we will be able to build 30 homes a day or 24 homes a day. So that's why Michael is here, our new Chief Operating Officer from Tesla. I know I'm also giving Page Steel some hives because they've got to build the chassis, all the steel work, and they have 70 Navajo workers down at their facility here in Page. And Jerry Moyes is here. Jerry's got trucks ready to go to drive these things out to the job sites. So we have some local people here that are excited about us being in production and not in prototyping stage anymore. Any other questions, David, for me?
No, I think there's one more. If there's someone that can speak on these homes for Navajo Nation, how are they financed? How does the grant money work? Things like that.
President Nygren? Oh, excuse me. The other President Nygren.
I got a look-alike today, so it's okay. One of the things I invited an actual individual here as well too. That's very creative in different ways of trying to find. As I mentioned earlier, because people for too long, they either finance a mobile home and they get a 20-year, 15-year, whatever the case loan that they get. So to me, one of the ways I thought about was build an affordable home and bring financing along with them. And I know there's a lot of creative people that are here, and one of the people we haven't figured out how to work with him, Rollin, I want to stand up, Rollin Wood, with Native Partnership for Housing. I know he's financed a lot of homes within the New Mexico Gallup area. So I asked him to come out here to kind of look at the system and figure out how can we actually start financing a lot of these homes in different avenues. But again, it's going to take a lot more people that are familiar with the Navajo people who are working people on how do they finance it. So that's going to be one option. And then the other option, how we're paying for a lot of these free homes. So when I say a free home, it's like what Arvin talked about. It's for some of the most toughest scenarios across the Navajo Nation. And like Lachi's got a tough job. They got to find 10 families that really need a home. Obviously, all of us can raise our hand in here. We want a home, but there's only 10 that they can choose, and the 110 chapters are going to have or I think it's 10 or a couple of them that they're going to have a hard time choosing, making sure that those homes go out to those families. So again, the chapter leaderships and the delegates, they're the ones that have a tough job on who's going to get a lot of these free homes. But we're going to make sure that they're efficient, effective, and the cost is down so that we can actually get as many homes out as possible. And then the other thing I think about is just working people. A lot of the tradespeople here, whether you're far or near, we want to make sure that they have access to these homes. And as Tamarah mentioned earlier, so for working professionals that are a teacher, a superintendent, or an educator, or a programmer, wherever they might be working in San Francisco, or they might be working in New York City, and you're Navajo, and you're like, eventually I want to get my home site leased, and I want to build my home. They can come to Zenny and Tamarah, and they can start planning with them, making sure that they can get the financing, they can get the water line application with IDS+A, they can start working on NTUA, getting that taken care of, getting the home site leased, and then when they're ready to go, they start looking at financing, and they start looking at the layout, and they know they're going to get a price that they're not going to get anywhere else. To me, that's a great opportunity for our young people, our working people, to have an opportunity to buy their own home. Because personally, I have that experience. I was able to build my own home in Red Mesa, and it took so much work and effort to do it, to get your NTUA application, to get your water line with IDS+A, to get your home site lease, to haul material back from, all of you know Red Mesa is about 80 miles from Farmington, so that's a long ways to be hauling material, but we got it done. And this process, it's going to make it easier for people that are not construction. Because there's a lot of people that, I'm an accountant, I'm a teacher, I'm an educator, I don't want to know how to frame, I don't know how to put things together. All I want to know is how quickly can I get a home so I can move my family in. And that's what this process is really going to streamline. So again, thank you for that wonderful question. I know there's different types of questions along the way. Then obviously there's financing. I know that there's people that can afford homes that are going to be 6-bedroom, 4 bathrooms, stacked 2 to 3 times the amount. And I think that's going to be a great opportunity. So this facility is going to provide homes to some of the most toughest scenarios that you can think about on Navajo, to some very highly successful people that are willing to invest in a home like a ZenniHome as well too. So I think that's a great spectrum to be working in. So again, thank you so much. And the thing is, a lot of these homes, as they mentioned, they're big enough and stackable enough to put on a truck and to ship it and to get them installed. So, and I think that's what the whole thing about standardizing and be able to have a facility work 24/7 is another thing that I'm trying to get my head around. So, thank you.
So in summary, there's 50 million for people that are in great need, and those will be free homes for the people most desperate in their chapters. And then we want to also, my wife and I right now are taking 3 of the 2-bedroom homes and making one 1,920 square foot home, 6 bedrooms, 3 baths. Who wouldn't want that? And it can be stacked because of all the steel, or it can just be on one level if you don't want to go upstairs to the upper floors. That's the beautiful thing about these modules. They can be a big home, or they can be a small home. They can be a humble home for a retired vet who's lost his wife, and he can't afford anything, and he'll be part of our team, part of the veterans money. We hope eventually also comes this way. And so we'll be doing all kinds of homes for people, and some will need financing and some will be able to qualify for the free home. Other questions?
You talked about the steel recovery from IDS. Could you talk a bit about that process and how that is shaping the building?
Yes. We try really hard to buy steel through Page Steel, and we try to get as much recycled content as possible. So what happened here is that all the steel and all the copper that came out of this facility got trucked up to Plymouth, Utah, to Nucor Steel. Nucor Steel then puts it in a furnace again and recycles that steel. The beautiful thing about steel is it can be recycled indefinitely. So that steel got recycled into the steel market. And so when we buy steel coils and we buy from DeVere and Doug Gardner, some of this steel is coming through that recycled process. And so there's about 6,500 homes that will be built here in this facility that technically may not be every molecule, but it went into the recycled program in our country, and we'll be able to build 6,500 homes with the steel that was removed from this facility as a coal plant.
One thing I wanted to add with the units too, Bob talked about reusing the steel. All the units are also ADA, they're all ADA, they're ready and fit. So when you go in there, if someone is in crutches or a wheelchair, you'll be able to use that in the bathroom. The units are also going to be set up where you can tie into solar panels. All the units will also have Wi-Fi capability so that our Navajo people that are living out in the rural areas can have connectability. So the design has gone not just from the Navajoized unit, which the Navajoized unit is thinking about, well, a lot of our Navajo people, when they get homes and they want to bring in their pellet stoves, also their wood stoves, we want to make sure that if that happens, these units are all code to code. You can tie in with your wood stove as well as pellet stoves. The modern kind of contemporary design ZenniHome unit, there's a bed that's coming out from the ceiling. We have our elders, Hadish, where's the bed coming from? We've tried to Navajoize units so that the bed's not coming from the ceiling, where we like to wash dishes, right? It's therapeutic to us. We don't need our dishwashers. So the Navajoized units are going to be speaking to that. We need, thinking about storage, compactability, thinking about family. You can connect these units and you can make outdoor spaces. We have families coming over our parties, we like to cook. Those are all capable of it. It's beyond our dreams at what we could do in terms of the design. Stackable, teacher housing, right? Student housing in our urban areas. Our kids are going to college, they need places to stay that are affordable. Rent, in Phoenix area, $1,800, right? That's expensive for kids off of Navajo to be paying rent. So those are the partnerships that we're looking for. Looking at ASU, University of Mexico, Flagstaff, so that we can provide homes for our Navajo students in the border towns. So it's a dream that what you can do, about these modules. It's like Legos, right? We've all played with Legos. You put them together, you stack them. It's nice to dream. It's nice to dream about what we can do, for our communities.
Perfect. Thank you, Tamarah. We will make these so that they are culturally sensitive, and people can put one in if that's all they need. If you have a couple, then maybe just one home's fine. Other people that have a lot of children or have extended family living with them, imagine having them connected in a beautiful way so it looks like one home. But it's large enough for a large family. Any other questions?
Well, I'm sorry, we need to cut the questions to an end. I know President Nygren is on a short schedule today and was kind enough to give us the morning. We would like, however, to have a group photo.